Number 1. Chiron Hormone. June 4, 2010 started off like any other day. It was Skyline Elementary School's 2nd grade science fair, and 7-year-old Chiron Hormone was excited to present his project on red-eyed tree frogs. Terry Hormone, Chiron's stepmother, brought him to school and stayed with him while he attended the science fair. They attended the science fair together. Terry says at 8:45 a.m. she left Chiron to attend his first class of the day and watched him walk down the hallway toward the classroom. Chiron never made it to the class or the talent show, instead pulling a disappearing act and never being seen again. A widely circulated photograph shows Chiron proudly displaying his red-eyed tree frog poster booth and diorama, as well as his prize-winning smile while wearing his CSR shirt and eyeglasses. Chillingly, the boy would vanish less than an hour after this photograph was taken. Even though Chiron was absent for his math class, the school did not follow this up at the time. Terry states she went shopping until 10:10 a.m. before driving toddler Kyra, his sister, around town to soothe her earache until 11:39 a.m. She then visited a gym, working out until 12:40 p.m. and next went home, where at 1:21 p.m. she accessed Facebook from her home computer and posted pictures of Chiron from the science fair, including the now famous image. At 3:30 p.m., Terry, Kane, his father, and Kyra, his sister, walked to Chiron's bus stop to pick him up. When they discovered he was not aboard the bus, the driver phoned the school to see if Chiron had missed the bus. After reporting that Chiron had not attended class at all that day and his parents were unaware of this, the school secretary called 911. An extensive search failed to turn up anything. However, suspicions started to fall upon Terry once authorities discovered that her cell phone records did not seem to match her reported movements that day. A landscaper soon came forward to claim that, months beforehand, Terry offered him money to kill her husband. Authorities had the landscaper wear a wire in an attempted sting operation on Terry, but she failed to say anything incriminating. In light of this information, Terry's husband immediately filed for a divorce and a restraining order against her, and he believes she was responsible for his son's disappearance. Chiron's biological mother has also accused Terry of causing his disappearance and filed a lawsuit against her in 2012. In spite of these allegations, there is still no hard evidence to connect Terry with Chiron's disappearance, and Chiron remains missing for over 6 years. That's nearly as old as he was when he vanished. A $50,000 reward stands for information regarding Chiron. Number 2. Rebecca Coriam. Rebecca Coriam, age 24, from Chester in the United Kingdom, had been working for Disney as a crew member on their cruise ships for around 8 months before disappearing on board the ship Disney Wonder, sailing from Los Angeles down along the Mexican coast. On 21st March 2011, Rebecca failed to turn up for her morning shift. She didn't respond to calls on the ship's PA system, and a search of the ship turned up no sign of her. Her parents received a call from a Disney official, informing that Rebecca was missing. The US and Mexican Coast Guards were alerted, and a search of the waters was carried out, but there was still no sign of Rebecca. Not until 3 days later, when the ship returned to Los Angeles, was there any attempt at a police investigation. Since the Wonder, along with all Disney cruise ships, is registered in the Bahamas, it was the Bahamian police force who sent an officer to investigate. Rebecca's parents flew out to speak with the detective, as well as the Disney representatives. Rebecca's parents state that Disney refused to allow them to speak to passengers or crew members who had been on board at the time of the disappearance, taking them onto the empty ship through a side door. They were told that it was believed that Rebecca had been washed overboard from the crew pool by a wave. Rebecca's parents were skeptical, claiming that the steel walls around the area were too high for this explanation to be plausible. Rebecca, who had a degree in sports science, was also a triathlete and a strong swimmer. The ship was docked close to the shore, and the Coriams are skeptical that their daughter would have been unable to swim to safety. The Coriams also claim that the Bahamian detective only met with them once, only spent 1 day aboard the ship, and never questioned any passengers. No details of the findings of the Bahamian investigation have been released. More information emerged about Rebecca's last known hours. She was last seen on CCTV at 5:45 am in the crew lounge, having what was described as emotional conversation on the phone. These are the last ever pictures of her. As she is talking, another crew member walked by and asked if she is okay. Rebecca responds, "Yeah, fine," hangs up the phone and walks away. The phone was internal, and the woman another crew member Rebecca was speaking to is identified as a friend and a girlfriend. This woman from the phone call spoke with Rebecca's parents, telling them that although Rebecca had been upset at the start of the call, she calmed down and hung up, saying she was going to her cabin. Another crew member described Rebecca and the woman's relationship as having problems. It was very intense relationship. It was great and then it was awful. However, this same crew member states that Rebecca was not in fact on the phone with her partner, but with another friend. So either there is a confusion over who Rebecca did speak on the phone, or someone is lying about whether they spoke with her. Before flying back to England, Rebecca's parents collected her possessions, including a slipper said to have been found by the crew pool. However, another crew member stated that the slipper was not the size or style worn by Rebecca, something which her parents agreed with. No forensic tests were ever done on the slipper. Several weeks after the Corium returned home, they received an email from Rebecca's bank saying that there had been activity on one of her accounts since the disappearance. Someone had tried to access the account on April 19th, almost a month after the disappearance. Rebecca's parents were unable to find the card linked to the account amongst her belongings. In September, the password of Rebecca's Facebook account was changed by an unknown person. The Coriums also received information that Rebecca was involved in a love triangle with her man and the woman on board. In November, John Ronson, a British journalist, went on a cruise on the Disney Wonder and interviewed several crew members about Rebecca's disappearance. One told Ronson, "It didn't happen. You know that's the answer I have to give." Another claimed that Disney knows exactly what happened. "Everything here is taped. There is CCTV everywhere. Disney has the tape." Several insisted that Rebecca had, as Disney said, slipped and fallen from the crew pool. But Ronson was skeptical, noting, like Rebecca's parents, how high the walls were around it. He suggests that she had fallen from the running track on deck 4, the only place where the walls weren't too high. However, there was CCTV along the track. Surely if Disney had the conclusive proof of what happened, they would produce it. A crew member also stated that it was impossible that, had Rebecca fallen overboard from the crew pool, it would not have been caught on CCTV, the pool being close to where payroll and HR were located. Likewise, the crew pool was just below the ship's bridge, and thus it was likely that a fall from that place would have been seen by someone. The same crew member alleged that Disney was covering up Rebecca's death as an attempt to ward off any accusations of negligence. On the day before the 1-year anniversary of her disappearance, Rebecca's father received an email from a woman claiming to be 85% sure that she has seen Rebecca in Venice with a dark-haired man. However, Rebecca's passport had been recovered from the ship by her parents, so it's unlikely that Rebecca would be in Venice without her passport. The investigation had been widely criticized for being poor. With the ship registered in the Bahamas, the investigation didn't have access to resources it might have had the ship been registered in the US. The Coriums have received no further updates from Disney and accused the Bahamian investigators of fobbing them off with claims that the investigation is still ongoing. Rebecca still remains missing. Number 3. Tara Calico. On 20th September 1988, 19-year-old Tara Calico went on for a bike ride at 9:30 am and was never seen or heard from again. Tara's mother, Patty, went searching for her daughter when she didn't return by noon. When she could not locate Tara, Patty notified the police, who soon joined the frightened mother in examining Tara's usual bike route. Along the way, police discovered broken pieces of Tara's Sony Walkman and cassette tapes. Patty believes that Tara may have broken these items in an attempt to leave a trail to her whereabouts. Multiple witnesses claim to have seen 1953 or 1954 Ford pickup following Tara that morning, though no one saw an abduction occur, and the Ford pickup has never been located. In June 1989, a Polaroid photo of a young girl and boy, bound and gagged on a bed, was discovered in a parking lot of a convenience store in Port St. Joe, Florida. Patty believes that the young girl in the Polaroid is Tara. Here is a side-by-side facial comparison of Tara to the girl in the Polaroid. A paperback copy of V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina, reportedly one of Tara's favorite books, can be seen lying next to the bound and gagged girl on the bed. Additionally, Patty claims that the scar on the leg of the girl in the Polaroid matches one that Tara has. The Metropolitan Police Service Scotland Yard identified the girl in the Polaroid as Tara, but an FBI analysis of the photo was inconclusive. In 2009, a Valencia County sheriff named Rene Rivera claimed that he knew what happened to Tara. According to Rivera, she was involved in an accident involving some boys from her school and their truck. It is suggested that he believes that the boys may have struck Tara with their truck. That is all the information Rivera has released, and claims that without a body, he will not disclose the names of anyone involved or release the evidence that brought him to this conclusion. Till now, no arrest has been made. To this day, no one knows what became of Tara Calico. She nor her bike were ever discovered. Number 4. Yuki Onishi. Greenery Day, a national holiday in Japan meant to appreciate nature, is observed every 4th May. In 2005, as a part of Greenery Day celebration, a bamboo shoot digging event was held in Kanagawa Prefecture's Goshikadai forest. Some 60 people showed up to participate, including 5-year-old Yuki Onishi and her mother and 8-year-old sister. The event started at 1 p.m. and Yuki jumped with joy when she found her first shoot about half hours later. She told her mother that she was going to find another one and then walked away to continue her search. This was the last picture taken by one of the family members, and she would disappear in less than 20 minutes after this. 20 minutes after Yuki ran off, her mother looked at where all the other diggers were and suddenly realized that her daughter was missing. After a search by themselves turned up nothing, Yuki's family called the police at 3 p.m. When the police still couldn't find a single trace of the girl, firefighters were brought in to assist the search at 5 p.m. Although the authorities combed the area for the next 6 hours, they still weren't able to find anything. Not even a shoe or the hat Yuki was wearing. Eventually, over 3,000 people assisted in the case, but not a single one of them was able to find any clues. The forest where Yuki disappeared and a nearby pond seemed to turn up nothing. When a police dog was brought in to follow Yuki's scent, it suddenly stopped in its track in the middle of the forest. 4 other dogs were made to follow the scent the next day, but they led police to the same exact spot. This is probably the most troubling part of the case. How could somebody seemingly just vanish into thin air? Few internet sleuths have suggested that Yuki was carried off by an eagle or some other large bird, which is probably the most ridiculous theory. According to biologist Ron Clark, the most an eagle can carry without any difficulty is 4 or 5 pounds. At 34 pounds, Yuki would have been way too heavy for an eagle's carrying capacity. The more plausible theory is that Yuki was lured away and snatched by somebody who was just passing through the forest. While nobody particularly suspicious was noticed by the diggers, some of them did see a man walking through the area with a backpack large enough to hold a child of Yuki's size. This man has never been identified. Although he might have been a camper or a hiker, Yuki remains missing for more than 10 years. Number 5. A hike through the Panamanian jungle. On 1st April, Chris and Liziane visited the Pianista Trail near the well-known town of Boquete, located in the Panamanian province Chiriquí, close to the border of Costa Rica. Reaching Panama, they soon headed for the town of Boquete and was being hosted by a family. Shortly after, on April 1, 2014, Chris and Liziane vanished as they were hiking trails in the forest around the town of Boquete, which was also near the Baru volcano, which was strange in itself, because they scheduled for a tour guide by the name of Feliciano to assist them on the trails for April 2nd. Nevertheless, the 2 women made their way for the trails and were accompanied by a dog named Blue that belonged to the host family. When Blue arrived back home later that evening without the girls, the family became concerned and tried contacting the mother of Liziane Froon, who then proceeded to try and make contact with her daughter, but of no avail. The following day, on April 2nd, Feliciano was waiting for Chris and Liziane to show up for the hike, but they never arrived. Confused, Feliciano went to the host family the ladies were staying at, but they weren't there as well. In fact, most of their belongings were still there prior to their disappearances, but the two women did have their cell phones on them. Panic began to seep in with everyone, so the police were contacted and an extensive search began, not just from locals and farmers, but detectives, search dogs, helicopter top-down views and more. The search lasted for 10 days, yet no trace of Chris or Liziane were found. 2 months passed by and locals found a backpack belonging to one of the women. To everyone's shock and horror, skeletal remains were discovered, and after DNA testing, it was shown to be the match for both women. However, the story doesn't end there. While continuing the investigation, cell phone logs were released. The two women were trying to make 911 phone calls throughout the stretch of 10 days. Although believed to be a possible accident of getting lost and injured in the forest, which therefore resulted in succumbing to elements, strange discoveries were unearthed. Inside one of the backpacks, there was a camera with 100 photos stored on the memory, taken within those 10 days of their vanishing. Most of these photos were of normality. Two young women who were having fun, enjoying life and their vacation, and simply documenting a moment of their life. It now starts to become more stranger. 10 out of 100 pictures were taken within the 10 days. The other 90 were taken 10 days after they disappear, and in complete darkness. Moreover, the skeletal remains of the woman found was also bizarre. There was a hiking shoe that still had a foot inside, which belonged to Chris Kremers. A pelvic bone was also found that belonged to Liziane Froon. There are many theories as to what may have happened to these two young women, but unfortunately, the case remains unsolved. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for future content. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.